Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Camille.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. As always, thank you to Lurks, our field venator of Serene, for the support. And also, we have a new patron. It had been a while, so we are very excited to have the support of Loic. And Loic, welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. So, this episode was supposed to be Wheel of Time related. We were supposed to bring back the Wheel of Time summaries with Matt. Unfortunately, Matt is not here today, because Matt suddenly remembered that he had a conference with a bunch of lawyers that he had to attend. So he's having a lot of fun there, I guess. Probably not. Thoughts and prayers for him. So instead, we decided, since it's only Kat and I today, we decided to talk about something that we love to nerd about. And it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah!
We were looking for a topic we could, without preparation, talk about for way too long, and I think Dungeons and Dragons is a great one. So,
yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. Like, I need more people to nerd out about D&D with. I have a colleague who knows a little bit, but I feel like if I keep talking about D&D, he's going to start getting annoyed.
I know. I try and limit my D&D talk to because I do have friends who I are kind of interested in it, but I don't want to push the limits on it too much, because I'm like, I don't want to scare you away.
Yeah.
Because some people are not aware of how big of a nerd I am, and then something will come out, like me talking about the class structure, like the classes in D&D, and people are like, oh, so you're like a nerd, and I'm like, yep, that's me.
Yay! So I hope that everyone listening to us actually know what D&D is, Dungeon Dragon. I mean, I don't think I need particularly a big explanation about that. It's a role-playing game that has been around since, I don't know, 1974, 75, something like that. There's been a few different editions. It led to a lot of different RPGs. It influenced a lot of role-playing based video games, for example. Yeah,
I think it's influenced pretty much every role-playing video game, because D&D is it's pretty much the blueprint for a lot of book series too. And so a lot of the book series that are have come to be now, or that came up in sort of the 80s and early 90s, they were all influenced by D&D. I mean, if you've watched Stranger Things.
Just Stranger Things, typically. There's a few book series that were directly based in universe that are D&D related. I think a lot about Salvador, who wrote a lot of books in the Forgotten Realms.
Forgotten Realms, yeah.
Yeah,
which is it's a huge campaign setting. It's what a lot of people base their D&D campaigns on, or the sort of the pantheon of gods. A lot of the time they're based on the Forgotten Realms pantheon of gods, or a variation of it. It's I as a note, R.A. Salvatore, I used to read their books quite a bit as a kid. I used to go to garage sales and get copies, old copies of their books, and devour them. And then when I learned that D&D was based off, it's basically D&D, I was like, oh my God, this is made for me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a good transition to ask you, did you actually got into D&D?
So it was kind of something, when I was younger, I tried really hard to stay away from nerdy things. I always knew that I was a nerd. Similar to queer. It's funny. My nerdiness and my queerness kind of ran parallel for a long time, in that I ignored both of them. both of them were ignored when I was like in my preteens and my teens and everything like that. It was always something that I was interested in, but I didn't want people to think that I was weird. I didn't want,
Yeah, trying to fit in.
Yeah, I was trying to fit in. I wanted to be cool, quote unquote cool. And so I kind of blocked myself from a lot of things that at that time, looking back, it would have given me a lot of joy. And I think it would have kind of, I was thinking at the time it would have alienated me. I think, in fact, it would have given me a lot of community, but here we are. So I started playing like 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. And I did it through a local comic book store.
Oh.
I used to go in and get my comic books, and they had like a sign-up table if you wanted to hop in on one-shot campaigns and things like that. And so I went to a couple of those. I really fell in love with the game. I tried Pathfinder, and it's a little too much for my brain. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of stats. It's just not for me. But I loved 5e. And so I think 5e was new-ish at the time. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2014. Their 10-year anniversary is going to be this year. So
this year, which is crazy. That's crazy to think of. 10 years.
They're making new books, actually, for the 5th edition. Hopefully not too different from the 5th edition. I'm curious what's going to be the changes. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. We never know. Sometimes it goes one way or the other. You just never know.
Yeah. Hopefully I won't have to rebuy a bunch of books.
Oh my God. That would be listen, I can't, because those books are freaking expensive.
Yeah, it's like $50 a book.
Yes, they're real expensive. And so if you want to get and all the the extension sort of books have like cool class developments or like brand new classes or like variations on races, and it's a whole thing.
I'm gonna be honest. Last Black Friday, I didn't buy anything like electronic. Like there was actually some sale for D&D books, so I bought D&D books for Black Friday.
Fair. Listen, that's the way to do it because you can get them really discounted. So
I mean, a 50% discount is like going from $50 to $25, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
Absolutely, exactly. That means like you can get like 2 or 3 D&D books instead of just like 1. I
got 4.
I love it. Perfect.
I haven't read them yet, but that's another issue.
Nice. So how did you get into D&D, Camille?
So I didn't have this, I should not be a nerd thing, in big part because my dad is such a fucking nerd. He's the one who got me into fantasy books, and he's the one who got me into D&D. Because I actually don't remember exactly how it happens, because I remember reading a lot of fantasy in like middle school, and there was those board games that were some easier version of D&D. And I think I must have asked that for Christmas or my birthday or something like that. So we started playing with my dad as a game master and with my mom and my 3 other sisters.
That's so cute. Oh my God.
Yeah. And to tell you, like, my sisters are like, I have 2 younger sisters, and one is like 8 years younger than me. So I think when we started really, like, because we did that board game until we finished like the setup for the board game, and then we started doing like real D&D campaigns. I think back then we were based on the 3rd edition.
Okay.
But maybe with some simplified rules because we were kids. Like,
yes.
My younger sister were playing and she was still in elementary school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think she was like the priest and my dad was half playing her character at the same time.
Oh my God.
But it led to so many like cute memories with my family. Like I remember playing a few times. Like we had when I was, I don't know, beginning of high school, we went to the mountain for like a winter holiday, which was pretty rare for us. But I remember playing D&D in the evening with my parents there. And yeah, there was also like, I think my favorite moment was that at one point, one of my little sister was a rogue and she found a trap like in the staircase and she could not like get rid of the trap. And I think we stayed stuck for like half an hour on that trap before my, like the 8-year-old in the family just say, why don't we just skips a step.
Yeah.
And we all look at her and we are like, yeah, what if?
Yeah. How about that? Listen, that's classic D&D. It's making the smallest problem the biggest problem. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think my favorite setup that we had at some point is that we were into a room, and if we hadn't done anything into the room, we could just have crossed it and go to the next hallway and this kind of thing. But there was this kind of bright orb on the ceiling. So obviously we shot at it.
Of course.
And then it triggered something, and the circular room just like reduced to a single pathways that then turn, and everything around was like acids. So we could not like cross to the next hallway. And it took us forever, but it turns out that it was only acid that was killing like that was destroying like dead things. So like your dead skin or your hair, or if you go with all your leather armor, you're gonna end up naked and this kind of thing.
Sure.
So one of us just like stripped naked, jumped into it, went to the hallway, and then pushed whatever button was needed to
amazing
to remove it.
Amazing. Oh my god.
So yeah, so that made like that created a lot of very nice memory with my parents. And then like I left high school, it was a lot harder to play then. When I got to engineering school, there was a D&D group. Well, it wasn't really. It was more of a board game club. So we played a few things. We didn't we played maybe a few one shot specifically on D&D, but we did a lot of the various RPGs.
Okay.
Sometimes even not rule-based RPGs, just like you have a scenario, you have a mystery to solve, and you're a bunch of different person who knows various different things, and you play without, there's no dice or anything, you're just having to figure out what the hell is going on. And that was very fun. I really I'm more of a, not really role play, because role play sometimes intimidate me, but I'm more a story based than a combat based.
Me too. Yeah.
Kind of person. And I think when I moved to the US, I pretty much stopped. I think there was a club in the university I was at that was organizing a few LARP. So maybe I did like one or two just to try it out, which is a bit different.
Yeah. Yes. It's obviously still has value and like completely valid, but I think you have to have a very specific personality type to get enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
To still get something from it,
And I think I just didn't know the people I was playing with enough compared to my old club where I knew everyone and we were pretty tight. And then the pandemic hit. And that's when I kind of got back into D&D, because I was on a Discord with a few friends. When you cannot see anyone in real life, you get friends online. Oh yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty much me in the pandemic. And I found a few people to play D&D with. Some of them I'm still pretty close. We did like 2 campaigns of maybe 4 or 5 months.
That's awesome.
And since then I haven't played.
Yeah. Oh my god. We're gonna have to find a way to organize. We're gonna maybe a queer sapphic D&D group, something. I don't know.
Yeah. So the thing is that I know I could find people to play with online, but I did that already during the pandemic. And I kind of miss being able to meet people in person. And especially I moved to Oxford a year and a half ago. And as an adult, it's so hard to make friends.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of people I know, but not yet to the level that I consider them as friend.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I feel I don't know, it's D&D has this thing that when you keep playing with the same people, they become your friends. They have to, because it's
of course.
It's you're living an adventure all together.
Yeah. I mean, so I had so after I did the pickup groups and everything like that, I actually found a group in person to play with through, I think it was a Reddit server for people who are posting it's essentially ads for looking for a new player, looking for a DM or whatnot. And that's how I found my in-person group. We started playing together 6 years ago. We just wrapped our campaign a couple weekends ago, actually.
Nice.
Maybe a month ago now. And it was just so I was playing with them for 6 years. 6 years with the same character. it's like it is a completely different experience. And that's not to say like playing online is also a lot of fun, and that's not to say that you can't have the same experience playing online, but there's very much something special about playing in person for like an extended period of time with the same character. Like that character, she's a part of me. Like she is kind of, I mean, she's kind of how I first started really like manifesting the kind of life that I wanted to live as a queer person, especially. And it, you know, I think I took a lot of inspiration from her, because it's with D&D, you're kind of in this sort of, or you should be in this safe space where you can, because it's basically, it's your imagination. You can kind of do what you want.
If you're with a good group that you feel safe with those people,
exactly,
the world is a safe place to you, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like D&D, like, yeah, there are rules and everything like that. But if you're with a good group, you can kind of do whatever you want. Like it's open to your imagination, which is like fascinating. It's so cool because you can play with anything. And it really does, I think it really does open you up. I think it builds, D&D builds a lot of skills for you too. Like it builds a lot of interpersonal skills. I think like social skills especially, but just also creativity. It builds, it just, I think it kind of awakens something in you in a weird way. But yeah.
I mean, social skills are not something that I'm great at. It comes from many different things. And I feel like there's a lot about, you know, improvisation and spontaneity, and also like getting to understand people more. It's kind of a social experiment in a way.
Yeah.
It's D&D is make-believe with a few rules to make it feel like we're not 4 years old playing make-believe.
Exactly.
Literally. It's make-believe for teens and adults.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it really and truly is. I mean, I've cried playing D&D. I've cried because like a character that my character was really attached to like died, and I just remember that night when there was, it's a big long story. A character that the party was very attached to ended up dying in a very tragic and unexpected way, and that night was so unbelievably stressful. We were just like, it by the end of it, pretty much everyone was sobbing, and like you know, and we're like sitting there with pieces of paper and dice and our imaginations. That's what's making it happen. And so, yeah, it's adults, teens and adults playing make-believe. And, you know, all of these emotions kind of come up from it, which is, I find it fascinating. It's so cool.
Yeah. And you get to, I think you get to do with your character things that you couldn't do really in your own life. If you're not particularly charismatic, you sometimes get to play someone that is a bit more charismatic or a bit less, or someone that is a lot less smart than you, and then you let other people like figure out what's going on. Or I don't know, you can be as badass as you want, or as not badass, or you can play around with your backstory, or you can start with not a very developed backstory that then get developed the more you play with that character, the more you get to learn that character.
Yeah.
And it's something that I really find fascinating, and I really missed it. I'd like to find a group at some point. Maybe I'll reach out on like Reddit or on the various, like there's a game shop that have some D&D related thing.
Yeah.
I know usually they're looking for DM, and I'm like, I'd like to start like being a game master, but it's also very intimidating.
It is. Yes, it's always been something I've been interested in, but I think like I like playing as a character so much that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. But you're juggling a lot of balls. You're wearing a lot of hats.
You can play multiple characters when you're the game master.
Yes, that is very true. That's very true.
You get to shape how the world will go for the character you're playing with, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, especially if you do a homebrew.
Yeah. I do have a few scenarios that, like, you know, there's D&D when you're starting, like, find a scenario that's online or in a book or something like that, and start with that. Start small. You don't have to, like, it's not like writing a book. You don't have to have your whole lore figured out when you're starting.
In fact, I think it's actually better if you don't. Because like
it's good to start small.
Yeah, start small, and then like, because the thing, like specifically talking about DMs, dungeon masters, your characters are going to bring a lot to the table as well. They're gonna bring a lot with their backstory, or just like with how they're building their character, and it's gonna give inspiration to what happens, or just like things that characters end up doing, or like random things that happen. It's gonna bring a lot to the world, and you can sort of build it as you go, which is really cool too. Like yeah.
What else could we talk about? So you had the same character for 6 years. Can you tell me a bit about your character? Do you want to talk about her? Or?
Yes, of course.
I mean, do you want to talk about your characters?
I know.
That's a question that you're never going to get to know as an answer.
Never. Anyone who plays D&D, if they have like a character they've been playing for a little bit, they are always, never be afraid of asking them about their character, because they are always ready to talk about them. In fact, it's a struggle sometimes not to talk about them. So my character is named Oriana. Oriana Toldane. She's a tiefling. And so she started out with sort of like the go-to reddish skin of a tiefling. She died at a point. So she did die at a point. She was essentially like, there was nothing left to her body except for like bones and everything like that. She was resurrected. And so I had to roll on like the character table to see what I got resurrected as, because you don't get to choose. With certain spells, they just it just like brings you back as yourself. But past a certain point, you don't get to choose.
That's a costly spell, right?
It cost them a lot. And so at this point, our party was like, we were very high level. Even then, though, we like the cleric in our party actually wasn't able to cast the spell. We had to go to her father, and he was a cleric, and he was able to do it. And so I had to roll on the table, and the two options I got were what was one? Genasi. So I think it was like a water genasi, or a tiefling. I got tiefling again. And so the DM was like, it's your choice. Like, you got tiefling came up, so you can choose tiefling if you want. And I was very conflicted. I ended up choosing tiefling again, but the tiefling I came back as was different. And so she had blue skin. She was like really tall and slender, and had like what's it called? Like very long fingers, and what's it called when you can sort of you can manipulate your joints on your fingers? Like, she's double jointed. That's it. She was double jointed. And so she ended off the campaign as a blue skinned tiefling. She was a wizard, and she ended up multi-classing into a fighter as well. And so she became very proficient with daggers. A dagger or a rapier was her thing. And yeah, she liked Fireball a lot. She loved Fireball.
Who doesn't?
I love Fireball. Anytime I could cast Fireball, that was my go-to.
A Fireball is so big, Sue, so it's like so it's not always easy to throw it, because if your party is within the range of the Fireball, like you're like, do I want to kill my party at the same time? Maybe not.
I know, because it's an area of effect, and so like it's tricky. And so she was wizard, and then a little bit of a fighter. She was like very dexterous too, and so she was able to jump and flip, and she's very acrobatic. And she had a wife.
Nice.
Which was exciting for me. She had a wife before I had a girlfriend or a partner.
Oh.
And so
a random, very technical question. But when you did the resurrection thing, did you have to re-roll for your physical stats, or you just re-rolled the race and that's it?
No. So I re-rolled the race, and then the DM re-rolled the physical stats.
Okay, so your physical stat did change.
Yes.
I'm assuming the mental stat don't, but
no.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
the mental stats. So that was when her dexterity changed a little bit because she was a little bit more. She was just a little bit more light on her feet. Was a little bit more graceful. And she could maneuver in ways that she wasn't able to before because she was super double jointed. She like part of it was also there was a magical weapon that she had that contributed to the acrobatics. That kind of enhanced it. And it ended up like working like the second body she had ended up working like even better than the first body in terms of that, which was funny. But yeah, I love her very much. She was very did not like authority. She did not like being told what to do. She was very proud and always thought she knew best, which like I mean, I feel like to the characters that we create, we put parts of ourselves into them. I think it's kind of hard not to. And so like she was there was part of her that's very much part of me. Which is it's interesting to sort of play out the sides of yourself that you may not necessarily like and to find, the positives in it and to try and work out the negatives in it. And so I love her very much. I'm gonna miss her a lot.
Yeah. Are you gonna do another campaign with the same group or?
I think we're gonna do a couple mini campaigns. Just to give ourselves a break because this is a huge thing that we're
a huge commitment.
Yeah, huge commitment. Like so we're giving ourselves a break and then we're gonna do some mini campaigns. And so I don't know if you've heard of Blades in the Dark.
No, actually no.
Yeah. So it's very I think it's more like it's more on intrigue. It's more based on intrigue than anything. And so there's combat involved in it, but it's not like a dungeon crawl or anything like that where like you're having to, that kind of thing, which is really exciting. Because I like the storytelling aspect of it, like the role the role play aspect as well, and just like the plot of things and the character development is really interesting.
Yeah, it's just the interaction between the people, like your character ends up liking people that you don't like or hating people that you do like, and it's very interesting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, my character and
they have their own personality.
Yes, they do. And they take over. Like, sometimes you make decisions and you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. This is what's happening.
Or sometimes you're trying to do something and then the dice say, nope.
Nope, you will not.
And that makes the story interesting.
Yeah. It's just, like you're trying your best and you're like, no, I'm going to do this thing. And the dice giveth and the dice taketh away. And sometimes it's better when the dice taketh away because it makes it real interesting. It can be frustrating, but real interesting.
The failures, like Dungeons & Dragons, it's a game that you don't win in Dungeons & Dragons. You go through a story, and the failure in these stories have as much impact and can be as interesting as the successes.
Oh yeah,
and that makes it very interesting because like we're rolling dice, like D20. Like yes, you have one chance in 20 to get like a very high score, but that's a one chance in 20 to get a nat one, and that's not good. And and it's nice that even when you're failing, it doesn't mean like it's not the end of the world because everyone's gonna fail at something they want to do. Everyone's gonna try to jump somewhere and face plant in some things they should not face plant in. It's very nice.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I didn't have like characters that sticked with me for years. The first characters that I had during my first campaign during the pandemic is a character that I did enjoy a lot. He was basically dumb and a himbo.
I love it.
And I don't know what that says about me.
Well, listen, I am a big fan of himbos.
It was so interesting because he was also very charismatic because he was a redemption paladin. And every D&D character has a tragic backstories.
Of course.
So of course it was like something like I don't exactly remember what, but like I think he found out as a teenager that his family was dealing with EV shitty thing, and he was like trying to get redemption for the things that his family had done, which is why like the redemption paladin thing.
Ooh.
But what it led to is that whenever we had a combat, I was like the redemption oath for the paladin is very much everyone should have a second chance, which means that you don't even want to kill your like opponents.
Right.
So we spent a whole campaign playing basically without killing anyone.
See, I like that though. I like that because it's like it's fascinating when people indeed like in like a party have opposing viewpoints on things, but neither one of them are wrong. Like none of them are incorrect. None of them are like said in like with like malicious intent, but they're just like they're opposing in what they're thinking, and it's delicious. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a fun character. It's I like characters who are a bit dumb because it's like, you don't have to overthink anything. And Paladin is a fun class because you do have quite a lot of like close combat thing, but also like you have a few spells that can be very interesting, and a lot of them are very charisma based. So like things like Zone of Trust or Friends, and which can turn interrogations into something completely different. And it's fascinating to play with those. It's a character that I did like.
Paladins are great. So here's a question. What are your top 3 classes to play in D&D?
I haven't played that many classes because I haven't had like opportunities to play that many classes.
Or top 2?
I think so far I've played like 5 fighter, paladin, and rogue.
Okay.
Paladin was a fun one. I played also a little bit cleric.
Okay.
But like for a few games only. I think if I were to play again in a campaign, I would probably try something completely different. I mean, there's so many different classes, but also all of those classes can have so many different options because based on the path you're taking, like a trickster cleric is not the same thing that a cleric that is very what's the main oath for the cleric? Main domain, like the life domain, the life or the light, or I think it's life domain. Like a life domain cleric is very much healer. A trickster is fascinating. It's like you're playing pranks all the time.
Yes. And so I know that this is something that you are also interested in as well. And maybe a lot of other people that listen to this podcast will know about the show too. But Critical Role is the perfect example. Where in the first campaign... I'm
watching second campaign at the same time.
Okay.
I'm currently watching the second campaign, which is why I was thinking about like Trickster Tiefling, Trickster Cleric, because one of the characters in the second campaign is just
she's a Trickster cleric. Yes.
She hates
oh my God.
eating, and it's so hilarious.
It's so funny. She finds it. And it's not... What's funny is it's not just her as a character. It's Laura Bailey as the person playing her. She finds it so annoying that she has to fight. She's like, can you stop dying? Like, maybe don't get hurt so that I can keep doing things. Maybe that.
To be honest, I understand her because so I watched the first campaign and then the second one. And the first campaign, they had a variety of character, and they had multiple characters who had some healing abilities.
Yes.
They had the main cleric, of course, but they also had like a druid. They had a bard that has the bard has healing words.
And then also a ranger.
The ranger had cure wound, and after that, like the rogue multi-classed into a paladin who also had lay on hand.
Exactly. Yeah. So they had lots of options.
They had a few options, like when someone die, like someone fall down, like they can put them back at 1 HP without too many troubles.
Yeah.
But like at the start of the second campaign, Laura is literally the only one that can heal anything.
Yes. Yeah. Which I get it. I get her frustration because it meant she couldn't do anything else. She had to be really mindful. And when you're low level, you don't have a lot of spell slots.
Yeah, because they are also going from level 20 to level 2, I think they started.
Exactly.
And it's like, the survivability of characters is definitely not the same when you have like 150 hit points compared to like 15 hit points.
Yes, exactly. Literally 15 hit points. And so you got to be like, and you have like 3 spell slots or 4 spell slots.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And so like you got to be really picky with what you're doing. And so like I get it was very funny to see because like in the first campaign, Ashley Johnson was playing Pike, who is like your classic cleric. Like anytime you think of a D&D cleric, Ashley Johnson. As Pike is like she's the standard cleric. When you meet Jester though, you're like, this is interesting, and I don't know how far you're into the campaign.
I'm 30 episodes into. Okay. We found Caduceus.
Okay, you found it. Okay, that helps. So I don't think you're quite there yet. There is a thing that happens with that Jester does that is like it is the epitome of what a Jester cleric should be. Like it's the epitome of a Jester cleric.
Is that like, because I've seen a few clips, is that when someone asks for healing and she's like, yes, I'm gonna give you healing, and she doesn't heal him? No, it's not something else.
Also very good. It's another moment. Also extremely good. It's another moment that breaks Matt Mercer's brain a little bit. But it's like, it's iconic because, and that's what I, like, it's D&D, like there are so many ways that you can play different classes and different races. Like there are so many different combinations and like you can put so much of yourself into it. And just like, I think as like queer people especially, there's a reason why queer people gravitate to D&D. Because it's just...
Because you can play whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
You can finally be who you are or someone different. And you can experiment. And you can flirt with anybody. And you can...
Yes, you can flirt with literally everyone. It's so freeing. It's delightful. It's with consent, as long as it's something that your D&D is cool. Your DM is cool with.
If you're flirting with a character of another player, have a chat with the other player to check that it's okay.
Yes, because not everyone is cool with that.
Some players don't like romance in Dungeons & Dragons or RPGs in general, which is okay.
Completely fair.
Mm-hmm. And then you get some characters who don't like romance and then get very much flirted by their wife.
Bamboozled. It's so funny. It's just like...
Travis Willingham. Gosh, the Critical Role cast, I'm just obsessed.
It's so funny. But see, we have to remember though, at the root of that is Laura Bailey, and she started it in season 1 because Taliesin Jaffe, who plays Percy in the first campaign, started off saying, no romance for me. I'm going to create a character that is unromanceable. And Laura Bailey looked at that and was like, okay, bet.
It's, but okay, what got me started into Critical Role? Because right now I'm 30 episodes into the campaign 2. I started in July. So I already did the first full campaign in the first campaign in like 4 months or something like that. What got me is Laura Bailey's character and Masha Ray's character in campaign 3 who finally get together. And there's a video of when that happened in the campaign, but there's also like a clip that they put on YouTube about them talking after the campaign, and Masha Ray being like, I created a dead girl that was unromanceable. Oh, she maybe did that, say that during the episode. And Laura Bailey was like, yeah, bet.
Bet. Yeah, it's Laura Bailey's goal in any D&D campaign that she plays with her friends, that like, you know, people have to be careful what they say because Laura Bailey is going to be like, oh, okay, that's what you think.
That's what you think. Right now, I'm really loving it's Mary Sherry's character in the campaign 2, Beau, which, if you remember my favorite queer character from last time, I'm obviously very into Beau right now.
What an absolute fucking disaster lesbian. What an absolute disaster. She's delightful.
The way Beau is constantly like over flirting with any woman around, like with Yasha, it's like
zero chill.
And also I just got I got the moment with Keg, with played by Ashley Burch, which I saw like made me laugh because I was watching this episode when I was doing the post-production of our episode about our favorite queer characters.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned Chloe Price, and they're like, oh shit, that's Ashley Burch, actually.
That's Ashley Burch, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Damn, that woman.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's watching Critical Role is what is making me miss D&D a lot. Mostly because you can see really how close they are as friends. Yeah. And I'm kind of missing that closeness. And the fun, just, I don't know. You don't know, your character starts somewhere and you have no clue where it's going to go. Yeah. And it's fascinating. I love it.
It's so cool. And like, it's, I know there are a lot of people in the Wheel of Time fandom that also are super into D&D and play like campaigns based in the Wheel of Time world, which is, very cool as well. Extremely cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're all about that.
I feel like playing in the Wheel of Time world too would lead to a lot of changes in what classes you can do, because you kind of have to find new justification for a lot of what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because the magic system of D&D is very specific and it's not really compatible with the Wheel of Time. So I'm curious how they are changing that. But at the same time, I know it's very feasible because the 2 campaigns that I did during the pandemic were actually based on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, yeah, my Paladin Redemption was also an airbender. It was post Legion of Korra.
That's so cool.
And the thing is that when I first started that character, I had watched Avatar, but I was not done yet with Legion of Korra.
Okay.
So I only had Aang as an example of an airbender who was very much like peace type of vibe. And I was like, that's going to be most Airbender. So I can do like Paladin Redemption with Airbender. And then I watched the end of like Legend of Korra. And
oh, boy.
Oh, no.
You can learn. Listen, this is what I mean. Like, learning how terrifying an airbender can be. It's like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with like waterbenders. When we first meet waterbenders in Avatar, it's like you get the same impression. Like there's this fluidity, there's this grace, there's this peaceful aspect to it. And then you meet a waterbender who is very much not that and shows how terrifying waterbending because like, and the whole idea of the show is that everything is connected. And so when you expand on that, there is water we are like, what is it? 90% made of water, however much the percentage is.
Yeah, something as that.
It's very high. Like our bodies are basically water. What could a waterbender do?
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. We need air to literally breathe. Like we need it to live. What could an airbender do with that? And so my brain is replaying that scene right now with the
yeah.
Yeah. But it's I mean, we got off track a little bit and we're talking about Avatar, but I think it's fine. It's all connected.
I mean, technically we talked about Avatar because it's around D&D too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're around 46 minutes. Is there anything else we want to talk about regarding D&D?
Listen, yes, there is, but we're not going to talk about it today.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah. One of my goals for 2024 is actually to find a group to play D&D with. Mm-hmm. I put that as a goal for 2024, which means I'm giving I gave myself a whole year to do that, which is already nice.
Yeah.
I know there's one colleague would be interesting to play.
Okay. Do you have like comic book shops that are close to you or anything like that?
I mean, comic book is a bit different in the UK. I think we're not selling by issues, but there's a game board game shop.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing is that there's something a bit personal and intimate about your D&D group in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of posting a random message somewhere and not finding the type of person that I want to play with.
I know. That's the thing. You're putting yourself out there and you're kind of having to trust that the right people will find it, which is it's scary. It is kind of scary because there's a vulnerability that comes with that.
Yeah, and as a first-time DM, there's also like I need to find people that are nice to first-timers,
exactly,
and that are so fine with beginner player, because like the colleague who wants to play has never played before, who are also like queer friendly, because that's something important to me, and I want to be fine with what's going on, not feel like limited in what I can say or not. And also, I don't want to end up with playing with only men, because that's literally my day-to-day life at work. And
you're surrounded by them.
My colleagues are very nice, but I want to talk with women.
Yes.
Yeah. So
diverse D&D groups are the way to go, and like diverse in every way, not just like racially diverse, but just like between genders, between
sexuality,
like
backgrounds also.
Background,
like, I mean, sure, I could play with just software engineers, but it would be nice to play with other people too. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll get lucky and find some good people to play with. Hopefully,
I am manifesting that for you, Camille. I'm manifesting that for you. It's gonna happen this.
If anyone listening lives in Oxford and wants to play D&D, hit me up.
Go play D&D with Camille.
Yeah. Anything else to say? Conclude?
I don't think so. This was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
This was very enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
I love that we got to do that.
I could do 4 other episodes just talking about like D&D and different D&D products and things like that.
So you watch Critical Role? Do you also watch Dimension 20, or do you watch like...
No, I'm looking to get into Dimension 20. So there's a British D&D show called High Rollers, which is also very enjoyable. Yeah. It's really good. What else? Oh, I listened to The Adventure Zone, which is with the McElroy family. It's a podcast, but it's also very enjoyable. What else? Those are like my go-to ones right now. But Dimension 20 is one that I want to, because I've heard very good things about it. So
yeah, and I've heard also that compared to Critical Role, it's a lot of shorter campaign, so it's a bit easier to catch up on. But I mean, I went a bit extreme in my catching up of Critical Role, in the sense that I have a literal spreadsheet with all of the episode, and like not just the main campaign episode, but also like all of the one shots and all of the, they have some discussion like episode and this kind of things that are not campaign based and this kind of thing, and I'm watching all of them in chronological order. And
I see. Okay, so that you can keep track of it. And I see.
Yeah, it's basically for me to keep track of everything, and also because I like data. So I have for example like I keep track of the percentage I've watched, so many hours I've watched, and this kind of thing, and I have like a little curve like per month, so to track how fast I'm going into my.
Oh my god!
It's the nerdiest thing ever. Okay, I know.
I love it.
It's so me.
It's very on brand for you. It's deeply on brand for you.
I share, like, if you want just to look at it, I'll share it with you.
Yes, I want to see this.
Make fun of me.
No, this is me being delighted.
There's like at least 17 tabs on that spreadsheet. So basically my conclusion was I'm going to start, like, I want to catch up, like, be fully caught up with Critical Role before starting something else.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been, like, watching Critical Role in the past 6 months has been absolutely a delight for me. And it's
super delightful.
Anyway.
Yeah.
On this, thank you very much to anyone who listened to this episode of the Queers of Time, even if we're not talking about the Wheel of Time. I hope it was enjoyable. If you like D&D, if you want to talk about your D&D character, if you have pictures, like drawings of your D&D characters, please send them to us.
Yes. Listen, we will, if there's enough interest, because I don't think we have a room yet in our Discord for
a channel for D&D? I don't think so.
If there's enough interest for it, let us know. We will make up a channel for it.
Yeah, so. We want to know everything about your characters, your D&D characters, or other RPGs.
Mm-hmm. Tell us your character's backstory, please and thank you.
Yes, and with all the drama and
yes,
and the angst.
Absolutely.
If you want to find us, we are on Twitter mainly, a little bit on Blue Sky. I started posting again on Blue Sky, Tumblr sometimes. But mostly we are very active on our Discord. We follow along whatever is being said there. So you should definitely join us. It's a fun community with queer people. Is. So I mean, that's good.
Join us. Yeah.
And we also have a Patreon. If you want to support us, we always appreciate that because producing podcasts costs a little bit of money.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.